The Defense Department says fighters from the Russian mercenary troop known as the Wagner Group are on the ground in the Donbas region. A German media outlet is reporting operatives from that group played a, quote, leading role in the atrocities in Bucha. Wagner Group fighters are believed to be active in conflicts across the Middle East and Africa, where they've also been accused of war crimes. Let's bring in Thomas Kent. He is a senior fellow at the Jamestown Foundation think tank, where his specialties include Russian affairs. Thomas, thanks for being here. Tell us just more about the Wagner Group and what they do and their links to the Kremlin.
The Wagner Group is a so-called private military organization, essentially mercenaries. And what they do is they carry out activities which are useful to Russian foreign policy, and at the same time, they make a lot of money doing it. So you will see Wagner mercenaries operating in places like Libya, Venezuela, Mozambique, Mali, and reportedly in Ukraine. What they do ranges from providing bodyguard services to people that Russians consider important, to actually getting out in the field and fighting as mercenaries, sometimes even with tanks and aircraft.
And let's talk about their role then in Ukraine. A senior U.S. defense official told reporters on Friday that there are about 1,000 Wagner Group fighters in the Donbas region. Tell us more about the role that these operatives are playing in the war.
Well, that's the estimate you see most commonly. It's probably about right. I think that Wagner operatives have been not only in the Donbas, but more widely in Ukraine. They were involved in the annexation of Crimea in 2014. So they're there at the beck and call of Russian forces.
It's interesting because whenever we're talking about mercenaries, they are, as you said, at the beck and call, but they're also not official in the same way that conscripted or military people, soldiers would be. Tell us more about what actions the U.S. and EU countries have taken in response to these mercenaries, to the Wagner Group.
Well, the EU has sanctioned them. That was last December, and the U.S. has had sanctions against them at least until 2020. At least since 2020. So, that kind of formal activity has gone on. By many accounts, the U.S. actually opened fire in Syria on Wagner mercenaries, and killed several hundred of them. So the U.S. in some ways has been directly in conflict with these people.
And the oligarch who allegedly funds this group, the Wagner Group, has also been linked to the Russian online disinformation company, the Internet Research Agency. Tell us the role that group is playing in the Ukraine conflict and how they're all interrelated.
Right. This is Yevgeny Prigozhin, who is known popularly as Putin's chef because he also runs a catering company. And he has been involved in the Internet Research Agency and also with the Wagner Group. This is all of a piece because it all involves Russian influence operations, whether influence is carried out at the end of a gun or whether influence is carried out by putting messaging on social networks. Either way, these are ways that Russia imposes its will and takes a role in the affairs of other countries.
Thomas, let's just talk a little bit more about mercenaries versus official military actors. In particular, when it comes to the war in Ukraine, how is Russia's use of these mercenary fighters influencing what we're seeing, and especially in terms of some of these horrific reports?
Well, in general, mercenaries can be very useful to a country because the country controls them, and at the same time, they can deny responsibility for their actions. If they do something that is against international law, the country can say, well, gee, they're a private company, you ought to talk to them about that. We have no official connection to them. What's interesting in the case of Wagner is that running a mercenary company is actually illegal in Russia. So the people behind Wagner, Yevgeny Prigozhin and everybody else, could be slapped into jail anytime the Russian authorities wanted if they do something that the Russians don't like. So you have to assume that any activities carried out by the Wagner people are either approved of or at least tolerable to the Russian authorities.
All right. Thomas Kent, thank you.
Thank you.